Hello and welcome to the Meditative Shift, where transformation begins with a mindset reset. I'm so glad you're here actually today because we're going to be exploring an ancient story with a modern twist, the Tower of Babel, and how its lessons actually apply to social media. What happens when we build something so grand but lose our sense of purpose? And how does ego drive fragmentation? And more importantly, how can we rebuild with intention? A listener recently shared with me, I feel like social media is exhausting, but I can't step away. It's how I stay connected. Does that sound familiar? Well, we live in a world where social platforms, let's say, promise connection, yet often leave us feeling scattered and isolated. So let's unpack why and how we can shift our approach. The story of Babel is simple, yet profound. Imagine it, people coming together, working side by side, building something bigger than themselves. A tower meant to touch the sky. At first it's all about unity and progress, but somehow along the way things start to shift. The goal changes. Instead of working together for a shared purpose, they start thinking, let's make a name for ourselves. Let's prove our greatness. And that's where everything unravels. Ego takes the wheel, and suddenly this once united group can no longer understand each other. Their language becomes confused, their vision fractures, and what was once a grand tower crumbles into dust. Is there any familiarity as to what's really going on today? The lesson here is timeless. When our ambitions are fueled by ego rather than purpose, we risk fragmentation and disconnection. And this isn't just an old story, it's happening right now in our digital world. We build platforms, profiles, personas, striving to be seen, to stand out. But in the pursuit of recognition, are we actually losing our ability to truly connect? So, using the Tower of Babel, I just wanted to symbolize a truth that's not so different from what we're doing today. Or is it? I don't know. It's my perception here. Instead of bricks and mortar, we're stacking up likes, followers, and carefully curated posts. Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, these platforms have become our modern-day towers, monuments to visibility and validation. We craft our profiles, share snapshots of our lives, and wait for the dopamine hit of approval. But here's the question. Are we actually connecting or just constructing a digital facade? The higher we build, the more disconnected we can feel. We might have thousands of followers, but do we have deep, meaningful relationships? We might post updates that get plenty of engagement, but does anyone really see us, the unfiltered, unedited, real version of who we are? The pursuit of recognition can become its own trap, pulling us further away from what truly matters, our inner self. And just like in Babel, modern social media isn't uniting us, it's actually dividing us. The very platforms designed to bring people together are instead pushing us apart. Algorithms reinforce our beliefs, curating our feeds so we can only see what we already agree with. We think we're engaging in conversations, but are we really listening? Or are we just talking past one another, locked in our own echo chambers? So instead of fostering an understanding, these platforms often fuel polarization. We interact with content that affirms our existing worldview, making it harder to find common ground. Meanwhile, social media's obsession with perfection creates another layer of isolation. The carefully curated posts, the filtered snapshots of seemingly perfect lives, rather than drawing us closer, they make us feel more alone. The promise of connection turns into a mirage, just out of our reach. And it's not just our beliefs that are being fractured. Our very sense of self is being pulled in different directions. Think about it. How often do we shift between different personas online? On LinkedIn, we're the ambitious professional. On Instagram, we're the world traveler, the fitness guru, or the influencer. And on Twitter, we might be the activist, the thought leader, even the comedian. Each platform demands a different version of us, and we do adapt accordingly. But the more we fragment our identities, the harder it becomes to recognize who we really are. So instead of building one strong foundation, we're scattering ourselves across digital landscapes, trying to maintain multiple versions of our existence. And it's exhausting. And in that constant shifting, we risk losing our authentic self, buried beneath the personas we've carefully constructed for our different audiences. So now let's turn the page here. How do we rebuild? Well, it starts with a shift. From ego to service, from mindless consumption to intentional creation. Social media has the potential to be more than just a stage for self-promotion. It could be a space for genuine connection, wisdom sharing, and community building. Imagine a digital world where posts inspire, conversations uplift, and technology amplifies the best of humanity. But to do this, we must take back control of how we engage. Instead of letting algorithms dictate our focus, we can choose to follow voices that challenge and expand our thinking. Instead of scrolling aimlessly, we can seek out content that educates, nurtures, and sparks real dialogue. Every interaction is an opportunity. And are we using it to add to the noise or to create something meaningful? Rebuilding also means recognizing the power of collective action. We're not just individuals online. We're part of a larger network. When we use these platforms to support causes, share our resources, and spread awareness, we then turn technology into a tool for global transformation. The question isn't whether social media is good or bad here. It's how we choose to wield its influence. The shift is in our hands. We don't need to disconnect from technology to find peace. We need to engage with it differently. Let's build something better, not just for ourselves, but for the world we want to see. So I'd like to say a few things before closing. Remember, small shifts create big transformations. You're not stuck. You're actually in motion. The Tower of Babel teaches us that when we lose sight of our purpose, we risk division. But we do have the power to shift. And I'd like to end by saying, let's build something new, not a digital tower of ego, but a space for true connection and shared growth. So if today's episode resonated with you, I'd love for you to take a moment and subscribe or share this episode with a friend who needs this reminder perhaps. And if you can, leave a review. It helps more than you know. And if you're looking for a space to slow down and reconnect, join me for my bi-monthly meditation class. It's a chance to reset, breathe, and shift your energy in real time. And you could sign up on our website. Keep in mind, the Meditative Shift podcast is sponsored by Women in the Round, which is a wellness collective dedicated to supporting women through life's transition with strength and purpose. Remember, change is constant, and how you navigate it is the shift. So until next time, honor your body, steady your mind, and trust the journey.